Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. It is bitterly cold outside and it's actually snowing. So I'm going to show you in the next little short clip what I saw when I got up this morning. Because, you know, I get up at 4 o'clock to take medication, but then I turn around and go back to sleep and then wake up whatever. But today was the longest time I've actually slept in till 8:30. And when I opened up the door, it was already snowing. And it's like, I thought it was going to snow tonight. So the weather already changed, but it's perfect for a sewing day. And so we're going to start on week 3. That means we're halfway done already with our Fort Worth Fabric Studios project. I'm so sad, but I'm glad. So let's get started on it. Well, here's what I'm waking up to this morning. A little bit of snow out there. Oh, it's coming down nice. Very nice. Oh yeah. Thank goodness I'm inside sewing. Okay, welcome back for all those that are joining us for week 3 of the Winter Frost Quilt. Here are the fabrics. Hopefully I've labeled them right. I went ahead and, because I knew I would forget the colors and their numbers, or their letters, excuse me. So, you know, the off-white, whatever you're making, if you didn't get the kit and you're making your own, that's the background fabric. So that's the A. And then the C was this dark navy with the gold in it. And then the powder blue is the D. So this is what we're going to be doing this week. And this is going to be, now, I want to mention real quick. So somebody had said to me that they got the kit, but they didn't get the pattern. So you need to go every Monday to FortWorthFabricStudios.com and get your directions for that week. Okay? You don't get it in the kit. You have other things in the kit, but not the directions. They are weekly. So go ahead and download that if you haven't yet, because it will be up. Now, I've labeled these, and I have them piled up, but I have more than I'm going to need, because when you look at your directions, because I just looked at my directions, the white, there will be 36. Well, you can see in my first bunch, this has only got 22. Alrighty. This has got 4, this has got 10, and then this is just some other ones. So I just laid them out here because I'm going to use this for the next week too. So I'm going to use 36 of those white ones. And then I have, let's see, 30. See, I had 3 that I cut out because I followed the directions on the pattern. So it had 3 of them cut out, and then it showed 33. So we have 36 of these little 3x3 inch squares in our color D, the powder blue. And then in this one, I have 6 here and 30 there of the rectangles, which are 6.5 by 3.5, and you have to have 36. So I'll end up with extra this, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. So let's go ahead and let's start building it, because when it's all said and done, it will look like that. Okay? So this should not be hard. It's just going to be matching them up so that they're not off. So just take your time. We're not in a big hurry or anything, and let's just enjoy it. Okay, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about a current book that I am reading. Nothing like the first book I read and talked about last week. And I'm thinking maybe I should just do, I don't know if you guys are even interested in listening to the stories or not, but let me know, and I'll talk more about it as I get going here. So the first thing that the directions are telling us to do is take both our sets of squares. You've only got 2 sets. You got your background and your other, if you don't have a kit and you're doing it in your own colors, which is fine. And then it's telling us that they want us to mark a line diagonal on every single one of these bunches. So the 36 white and the 36 blue in my case. And I'm going to do blue, and I'm going to do, can I find my pink somewhere over here? Somewhere, I know I have a pink. There we go. And a pink for that. And I thought I had a, oh, here we go. We'll use this blue one here. Okay, so pink and blue is what I'm going to use, and I'm going to mark them all. Always choose a ruler that is bigger than your square. Never go smaller or exact. I'm going to flip the whole stack upside down. Pull one out here. And actually, you know what? I boo-booed because I had part of them. There we go. Must have just been my first one. Okay. And I can tell the difference between the, let me show you, the top and the bottom. The bottom is more just a plain blue, where the top has texture. So this is the top, so you want to flip them all over on the back side. If you need to re-iron them because you've had them somewhere and they got wrinkled, kids got a hold of them, who knows? I mean, all kinds of things happen in your household. My household, I'd have a cat jumping up here on this table while I was nowhere near. And then I'd have a mess because I've come up here and I've got a, I have a pin, just one that I don't normally use, and I have it stuck in the holder. You know, the things that you clamp on the side of your table to hold your lights and such. Well, I have my clamp sitting here in case I wanted to move a light over closer. And I have stuff draped on it, but I have it held with one of these pins like this, and I have it stuck in here, and then stuff's hung on it. The cat must have come up and pulled. Let me get over in the picture. So the pin is sitting. Well, let me just show you real quick here. Okay. So this is what I've got sitting here. Okay. This is actually this thing here that I got the pin in. That's so that you can put something in there. It's a light, and it's actually this light right here. This light right there. Okay. Hope I didn't make anybody dizzy. But I put the pin in there because I'm going to hang some stuff off on it. Well, apparently he must have come up and pulled the pin up, and when he pulled it out, all of the stuff was all over the floor. So that's how I know he got up here and got into something. All right, let's get back to marking this here. Okay, so let me show you what I do. Now, I just use this. This is only a 6-inch, just my little 6-inch. I use this ruler to death. I use them so much that the numbers come off. And I have bought a whole bunch of these. I usually put these in one of my giveaway boxes because at the time I got this, and I don't even know, I know that I bought it myself as a ruler because I just wanted a small one. But I've got them all over the place. Like I've got one downstairs, I've got one in here, I got one in the other room. I got Megan. I think she might even have a couple. And then I bought a bunch to put in a box to give out, you know, every time I have a little box, because a lot of people don't think to buy these little bitty ones like this. They like the bigger ones, but I like the little ones and the big ones. So this is what you want to do. Make sure it comes off each side. And then instead of going right on it with my ruler, I put my pen up in the corner where it would be marking. Then I put my ruler up against it. The same thing down here. Because your pen mark, keep in mind, it's going to take up part of the space. So you want it to go right in the middle. And it wants us to take our pieces, each set, and mark one line straight through it. That's what we're going to do. So go ahead, mark all yours. I'll mark some while I talk to you so that I can be talking to you about the book. But anyway, the reason I was talking about the book, first off, I wanted to go ahead and make a comment. Purple Wall and Sylvia P. I saw y'all got the book and you were into it. And then also what I wanted to say was that I read other books. Now, they're not all books like that because that was just a one-time deal that I found that book and got it. But I don't look for specific books. But I have books where there's like, I want to say, I guess series. They're by the same author and then they take the same characters and they make the other books. Well, I was looking through my Kindle and I get because I have Prime, I get the free picks. Okay, and some of them I went ahead and I picked, you know, just based on the cover of the book and, you know, nothing specific. And so I was going through them looking for another type of mystery book, and I found one. Now, you shouldn't say the word that starts with M, because I'm not going to say it, but if you set it backwards, it's actually called Red Room. So if you guys kind of know what I'm talking about, I mean, there was even a movie that was called that, The Red Room, I think. And I only remember it because I felt like that just struck me that you could take that word backwards and it meant, you know. But anyway, moving forward. So I got a book and I looked on my Kindle and all I did was opened it up, okay, read a little bit about it, shut the book. Then I realized I have like a series of them. Now, I don't know if I got all the series, and I don't think that they build. In other words, if you buy the first book, then it builds and it adds when you get the second book. I don't think that's the way it works. I think they're each individual stories by this person. Well, in this book here and all I did was start it. I haven't had a chance to read it because it takes me a minute to do everything that I'm doing along with adding books to the mix. But anyway, and I didn't know if you guys just wanted me to, you know, talk about what I'm reading at the time, or I mean, I guess I could do a book review every now and then. And last night, what I do is I've got so many things going on at this time. When I say so many things, I mean, I have, like, along with doing my YouTube videos, trying to learn stuff, because I have the EQ, I don't know if y'all have it, or if you know what it is. I've got the EQ software, and I've had it for a little bit. I got it while it was on sale. Then I think they had an update, so I got it. But for the life of me, I have not even been able to start it. And I've even bought some books. They're like the beginning books and everything. Oh my gosh, I went through the beginning books and I was like so confused. I was like, come on, really? How can I be so confused? It can't be that hard. Well, then when I played with it and I was trying to figure it out, I couldn't figure out how to save the darn thing. And I went through this whole thing. Well, now I managed to print it out, but it doesn't do me any good to print it out if I couldn't even save the darn thing. I went to try to bring it up and it's like it's not there. So somehow I saved it incorrectly, because I'm using the same computer. I didn't switch and try to bring it up on something else. I only have it downloaded on my computer. That's it. I think you can have, when you buy that program, you can download it either on a HP, or I don't know if it's called HP or if it's called Microsoft. It might be Microsoft. I might be confused. But you can also download it on a Mac computer. I've never owned a Mac computer. My son is a computer guru, is what I call him. Now, he would be able to download it on a Mac and do everything in his brother. But anyway, so then I went ahead and I joined the Facebook group for the EQ. Excuse me. But, you know, I know it's cold outside, but I'm not that cold, so my nose should not be running. But I need a tissue. So anyway, I went ahead and I got into the chat group, and somebody asked how to create a quilt, okay? Well, my problem with Facebook, and you all know that I'm learning Facebook, I can never go back to the same place that I've been to when I see something and I find it. And it's like, there's got to be a way to do it. I mean, y'all that know all about Facebook and you've learned it and you've dealt with it, there's got to be some way that I can look at something, get out of it, okay, close off my computer, my iPad, because that's what I look at when I'm in my chair. I don't bring up my computer and I don't open it up and look at everything. I do it all on my iPad. And then there's got to be a way that you can get back in there and find out where you were at, so that you can go back to that specific chat and find it. And somebody had asked a question about creating this quilt. So I went ahead and I looked at it and I was reading. I thought, okay, well, now this is simple to follow, okay? And then I turned around and I lost it. But I thought, you know what? Before I get out of it, I will print it. But the problem is that when it printed, oh my gosh, it printed crummy. So I don't know if my printer was having an issue or what was going on, but I can't even make heads and tails out of the printed page. So that was like very frustrating. Of course, you know, I got on EQ thinking, okay, well, I'm on EQ, so then I'll just get on there and I'll try to find it. Well, my gosh, I couldn't even find it. And you know, I was doing, it's like when you do the same thing, I mean, I went through the same process that was on the Facebook thing to find it, and I could not find it. So I thought, okay, well, the heck with that one. So now then I got to start all over and look for something else. So then I went ahead and I was in that Facebook group again. Silly me, just repeat myself here. Get into the Facebook group again, found another question. I thought, okay, well, this question was good, and it was about creating your own quilt. Not that all the blocks are the same size. Now the blocks would be different sized. And I thought, okay, well, if I can learn that, then I can learn how to bring this stuff over. You know, let's just do that and let's play with it. So that's what I did last night when I got done. After my live was over and I made my next YouTube video, I went ahead and I edited it. And I don't have any of these things uploaded yet. I got to do that this week to get them out on Saturday, Wednesday and Saturday. I have them made, but they're not uploaded onto YouTube. So I'm sitting there because when I get to a certain point where I'm tired, I can't do any of that stuff anymore. And I was way beyond exhaustion. So I'm sitting there playing with my EQ, and I'll be darned. Now, first, what I try to do, I try to make it simple, and I try to go one direction by one direction. So the first thing it said to do was, and if you all got it, you know what the software looks like. Well, it's got, when you get into it, it had a box. Well, in this specific box, it has your height and your width, and you can make them so that they're all the same. So you can either plug in the number, which this is what I learned last night. You can plug in the number, or when you put your block in your square, so let's pretend since you can see this little square right here, let's pretend this is your picture. You drag your little square, and then we're going to pretend this is a star quilt, because y'all know what a star block looks like. So this is a star block. Well, I look over here and I'm trying to make the numbers match based on my little piece of paper, because believe it or not, I had my computer open working on it, but I had my iPad open reading the directions. So it said to take the numbers over here and put the numbers in. And so when you put the numbers in, this thing changes automatically to the size of whatever you're putting your numbers in to represent. Well, I thought I was doing it right. And of course I'm not doing it right, because I don't know what I'm doing. That's the first thing. And so I'm playing with it. I'm playing with it. My numbers won't stay in that box over there on the left. Okay. I get done. I thought, okay, well, the heck with it. I'm just going to leave the square. I'm not going to worry about the box. Now, I did make it square. It was supposed to be square. It wasn't a rectangle. So that was easy enough. I left it in the corner. I turn around. I keep following my directions. So I put another block in this. This is going to be a quilt. So it's the outline of a quilt. So it's a big empty space. So it's got one block up here at the top. So it tells me to put another block in. Then I learn how to put a rectangle in. So I put a rectangle in. Well, then when I'm trying to match it up, because you have blank, in other words, these are specific blocks that you would make. But, you want to put blank stuff in between them. All right. Which makes your quilt. So I go and I try to put these in there, and all of a sudden, now these blocks, like this one, they're all over, okay? Because they're not in any rhyme or reason, they're nowhere specific. So I'm doing that, and I'm thinking, okay, and this is my first attempt at trying to actually create so that I can come up with the fabric requirements and all that. And I try to put these things in, and I'm thinking, okay, they won't go in there. Why won't they go in there? Now, keep in mind, every time I put a square in there, I went over here and I put whatever numbers my piece of paper is telling me to put in there, okay? So that's the first thing I'm doing. And I sit there and I'm looking at that and I'm getting like, oh, I'm so tired and I'm so frustrated. And I'm thinking, this can't be that hard. How can this be that hard? People do it all the time. So it's like, what am I missing? So then I looked at it and I'm thinking, okay, well, if this is like anything else, maybe I can grab, because, when you click on something, when you're designing, as soon as you click on anything, and you've done this before, probably on other software. Alrighty, I had to stop a minute. My sister called, and it broke off it shuts my phone off. Alrighty, so anyway, like I said, this block. So when you click on the block, the first thing, it has a little thing come up in each corner, and then on the top up here and the bottom. So then I haven't done anything with software, any software at all. Okay, so I didn't know anything. So I know how to grab it, because it's like anything else. When you do, like if you're going to do a written report or something, you just grab this and you can move it all over. So I went ahead and grabbed the corner of it and pulled it. Well, come to find out, I'm looking at it and see how this matches up with this corner. Well, my block was like in just a little bitty bit. Some of them were in. I had 4 blocks on my paper, all different kinds. And then some of them were out of it. So when I tried to put this blank piece, I tried to take it, and I was taking it, I was moving it up here, and I let go of it. Instead of it staying right there, it went like this. And I'm thinking, okay, why won't that piece of, well, I'm calling it a piece of fabric, but it wasn't fabric, It's like, why won't it get up there? And this is all fine, tiny lines, and I'm thinking, okay, something's off on this block. So I touched the block, and as soon as I touched it, I realized the block was over. And that's why every time this backed up, it wouldn't go over the block, and it wouldn't be on the block, so it kept going off of here. So as soon as I lined that up with the lines, and I took this and I moved it up there, it like locked into place. Sort of like a little clicking. I mean, it didn't make any noise, and I went, oh, that's it. So that was like an eye-opening. It's like, oh my goodness. So then I just sat and started making all these different things, and it's like, well, like in 10 minutes, I had the whole thing done. I'm like so proud of myself. I got nobody to tell because Meg's not interested. So it's like, darn, I got to talk about it on my video then. And so I went ahead and I created a little, and they're now, each one of these blocks, they don't match up. I'm trying to think whose block is like that. I don't think it's not this block, because these blocks all go into rows. This block, this one that I created, would not go in a row. But I know some of them are out there like that, because I think I did one time. I just can't remember what company did it. But anyway, I was just like so excited. So now I can go ahead and create my own block. So now I've talked enough about that. So now let's go on to another subject. So my next subject, let me get a little closer here. So the next subject is going to be about the book that I'm reading. Okay. So come to find out, this book, like I said, and I haven't read another one of the books, so I'm not quite sure, you know, but it's a series. Well, I'm hoping that they don't have to go in order, because this book is number 3. Okay. I cannot think of the author's name, but it is about a real estate lady. So here's my question to you. Do you, when I read a book, no matter what it is, because I've read other books too, do you want to hear a little bit about them when I do my quilting, when there's time to talk during the sewing aspect of it, or you have no interest whatsoever? Now, I can do like a book review. I can talk about the story. I mean, like the last time when I did the Midnight Library, I was more or less, I had already read the whole entire book, but I was giving you an idea. I told you a little bit about the book to see if you were interested in reading it. That's one way to do a book. Otherwise, I could just read the whole entire book, turn around, tell you about it in my words, and then do like a review, which what I would, you know, whether I would recommend it or not. Of course, you know, my opinion is, I can't imagine that my opinion is any good for anything, but, you know, if you're interested in that kind of thing, or no, you're just not even interested in it because you're not a book person. So just let me know about that, because I can do that. And y'all can suggest books that I could read if you want me to try it out to see if it's any good. You know, you just don't have the time, but you might be interested in it. Now, I don't do a podcast. I think this is one of the reasons that I don't do it. I mean, a lot of people will do it because they say they can get a book done, because, you know, you get to listen to it. They can get a lot of books read or whatever. Not read, but listen to. But my problem with that is that while I'm sewing, and I've noticed this, when I have the radio on or I have the television, and I can be watching a program, doesn't make any difference. But as I'm sewing, I'm literally tuning that out. I tune out my background. That's why most times I have nothing going in the background. I don't have any music going. I don't have a program on TV, because it's really just background noise, because I'm not really paying attention to it. I mean, sure, I might be watching it when I first start out and it's interesting and all that. But I think the reason I lose my interest in the TV is that in order to watch the TV, I've got to look up from my sewing, and I don't trust myself to just sew while I'm not paying attention, because I might sew my finger or something. So that's what happens with the television. And the song, I mean, sure, I can listen to the song when it first starts out, and, you know, I know the song, but after that, that's it. I just tuned it out. And Megan's come up many times and said, what was that song that was just on? It's like, oh, crud, I don't know, because I really wasn't paying attention to it. I have no idea. So that tells me I just tune all that radio out. So now that I've talked your leg off and almost got all these blue ones done, go ahead, finish yours, and then do your white ones, and we'll come back and we'll get ready to build these blocks. Okay, so here is what the directions are telling us to do. We're going to take our A fabrics, and I've split them up into 18-inch stacks. So this is 18, this is 18. This is 18 of the rectangles, and this is 18 of the rectangles. They want us to take, and this is the reason I have these in different directions. They want you to make 18 of them like this, where you sew upward, and they want 18 of them sewn to the left upward. So the left and the right, so that when you flip this, you'll have a white one on the left side, and when you flip this, you'll have a white one on the right side. That's the first thing we're going to do. So when we get finished, we're going to have 36 rectangles done. Half will have the white on the right, and half will have the white on the left. So they're all going to get chain stitched, and then when we're done, we will continue to do the blue fabric. So let's do this first. Now we're going to chain stitch these in the way that I'm going to do them. Now these are the ones based on here. They're going to go to the top left, but I don't want to do it at the top, so I want to do it at the side here, so that when it comes off, I won't have an issue with it trying to go down inside my machine. I have not changed my foot over to the single circle. This one's set up for zigzag. Okay, and I'm just doing my 2.5. Okay, here we go. best I can. Now, I don't have any of these pinned, as you can see. I did not pin one. I've got them all laying here. Well, I've got 3 of them sitting here on my table. So when I was at Sew Becca with my other machine, I was doing the figuring out your 1/4 inch thing. And when you do that, you normally take your needle and you move it to the right. But when I got home, I re-looked at my machine. This machine does not move the needle to the right. It only moves the needle to the left. My other machines actually move the needle to the right or the left. So I can't do it with this machine. And so I'm wondering, is there another way to do it with this machine? I'll have to check it out. All right, I had to run downstairs and get something to eat. My time gets away from me. It's already lunchtime. Before you do any cutting, look at them. Are you happy with them? I am not happy with 2. I'm going to show you what I'm not happy with. I'm not happy with the fact that I came off the line there. I'm going to fix that right there. I'm not happy with this one. Same thing, except even more so up here. I'm going to fix this one. Then, before I do any cutting, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this set that I have right here. I'm going to chain stitch them. Look to see if I'm happy with them before I do any cutting. This is when you want to make any changes to get it correct. So take the time and do that. Alrighty, now we're going to start with the other direction. Now remember, the last time we were going from the top up here down, and now we're going from the top to the right instead of the left to the right. And I'm starting on this edge so that it does not go down inside my foot, not my foot, my plate. I fixed my 2 last ones so that they're correct. I'm going to take a little bit slower when I go to the corners here. Now, cut these apart, look them over, decide if you want to fix them. I think there's 1 or 2 I want to fix, and then we'll go from there. Now, at this point, this is what you have. Make sure you have the same number going this way and this way. Now we're going to cut them before we sew them. So you take one, make sure that you cut it on the right side. Now, I'm going to do an example here to see if I were to put a mark. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to go 1/4 inch This is just me testing the waters here before I cut anything. And I'm trying to see if I cut that off like that, how big of a triangle, a half square triangle, will I have? So I can cut that down. So you know what? Before I cut all of these off, which is normally what you do, I'm going to remark them. And I will show you with this one right here. Let me come right back. Okay, so here's what I did. I went from the line here. We're going to take this, we're going to cut all this excess off, and we're going to fold that over like that. So before I did that, I went ahead and drew a 1/4 inch from here to here. That's where my cutting line is going to be. Then, if I want to sew it, because there's enough fabric from here over, I put another line, which is the 1/4 inch. I sewed on it. And then when I open this, I actually have a half square triangle. And this is 1 inch, 2 inch, more than 2.5. I can cut this down to a 2.5 inch square. And if that's the case, I can have a whole bunch of little 2.5 inch half square triangles. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to mark all these. Y'all don't need to do it if you don't want to. You can just cut it off, say the heck with it, finish it off. But I'm going to get more fabric. I'm saving fabric because I have a whole bunch of little half square triangles and little 2.5 inch squares. And I'm going to be creating something. And so I am keeping all the extras that I can. Because not only will I have it in this color, but I will have it in this light blue when I do the same thing to that. So let me stop, go ahead and finish mine up. Then I'm going to cut them all like this. And then I will iron them all. Now it's not telling us which direction to iron it. So I will probably iron it to the dark side first. So I'll iron it so that it goes like this. And then if I have to change it, I will change it when I go to put it together. Alrighty, so I've got them all marked. I got them all sewn. Let me set that little one aside. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one at a time and I'm going to cut them. Just like this. And you guys can do the same exact thing. I'm just cutting it. Now these I went ahead and I have the the lines on them, like that. But then when I went ahead and got to the next one, I didn't even put the middle line, the cutting line, because you know I already know it's a 1/4 inch. So just set these all aside. I'm splitting them up as I do it. And then I will iron them all open when I'm finished. I'm not going to cut down. I did cut down this little one here. I went ahead and cut that one down to show you, but I won't be cutting those down. They'll just go in the box that I got over there with a whole bunch of other ones, because they all got to be cut down. Usually what I do is I sit one day. Now all I do is put my yellow line along the 1/4 inch here, and then I just cut it, and that's it. That's the one I didn't put the marks on. But anyways, so every now and then I sit down and I cut up fabric to just make squares or whatever out of my scraps. I have a little scrap pile going on because I think I'm going to create a little box of scraps to sell. I don't know if I want to do it on my Etsy shop or when I get my online website shop up. I haven't made up my mind, but in the meantime, I'm just going to collect them and cut them and have them set aside. I just haven't figured out yet exactly what I'm doing. So just go ahead, finish cutting all y'all's off, all your little things. Then we're going to iron them all open, and then we'll be back. Now, when all is said and done, this is what you should have. Now, we're going to take a stack of our blue. I'm going to set this aside here. Actually, let's do this one first. So, white on the left. And we're going to take our blue. And we're going to lay it like this. And sew it. Let me take one off here. Just like this. And then when we get finished, we're going to be flipping it like that. Okay? And we're going to make 18 of these and 18 of the other. So we're going to do this one first, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. The only difference is I'm going to go ahead and mark them ahead of time. instead of waiting and coming back and marking them. So I can chain stitch them twice in a row. So I can do all of them first. And then I'm just going to do my stitching line and not the cutting line. So I will just do that. So I will go ahead and I will stitch down here. And I will do all of them chain stitch, cut them apart, turn around and stitch them all down here. So that when I cut them apart, I have my half square triangle, which is this little piece here. It'll be 2 different kinds of blues. That'll be pretty. And then we'll have this one, and it'll flip this away. And that's the way it needs to look. Okay, it needs a white at the top and a blue at the bottom. And they're going the same directions. So let me go ahead and mark these as I put them up here to sew. Okay, here we go on the other side. Now remember, before we do any kind of cutting, we're going to make sure that we're happy with what we've sewn. So try to go slow if you can't keep your line straight. And I'm not going to be filming me doing this other line. I'm just going to do that on when I get finished before I... Now we're going to cut this, and I'm going to clip it all, and then I'm going to re-sew on this other side, but I'm not going to put it on the camera. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I'm ready to cut off the end. So I just line up my ruler on a 1/4 inch and cut it off. And then when I roll that back, that's what it's going to look like after I iron it, and that is the way it's supposed to be. It'll look just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them all off. You guys do the same thing, and then I'm going to iron them all open. Okay, so now we're ready to do this one, and we're going to take it and we're going to put it like this, so that when it gets folded like that, it will look like this, so that you have the top right will be the white, and down here at the bottom will be the blue. And so when we sew it, we're going to go like this and start from this end down to the corner. So let's go ahead and do that next. All right, now we're starting on the second set. We're going to make sure we turn it this direction. And I've already marked mine the second time, so I will chain stitch them off camera like I did before. Okay, I had to cut that off because I was making messes all along. So I cut it off, and I went ahead and I've got these last 3 to do. And then when I get done with these, I'm going to go to the ironing board. I'm going to show you how I'm opening them and ironing them in case you've never done it before and this is your first time, you're just tuning in. Or maybe it's been a while. Or maybe you're trying to learn something to teach somebody else. So that's what I'm going to do as soon as I'm finished here. I've already shown you how to cut them apart, so I don't need to show you that again. I am going to go ahead and do these last 3 the other side. So I'll cut these apart and go ahead and finish up this side here, because, you know, I'm having all those extra triangles, half square triangles. You get done if you do this. If you want to do this, you could actually, I'm going to guess that there's going to be enough of these little half square triangles. You could, and actually the fabric, you could make a pillow, you could make a runner, or you could make little mug rugs. You could make coasters also. There's going to be enough fabric left over. All right, I'm up here at the table. Here's my piece. This is the way that I iron it. First, I press it. Now, it's already been ironed, the white. As you can see, I went towards the dark. And my purpose on this one is also to go towards the dark. To do that, I have to lift up this because my blue, let me see if I'm in the camera, yes, needs to be down on the table. And when I go that way, it goes into, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to do that now that I'm looking at it. I'm going the other direction. Okay. I think I want it to go to the blue because I want them both going that direction. So if that's the case, and then you want to be really careful. So I haven't put a lot of pressure on the iron because I don't want this right here, which will give, and that'll distort because it's on the bias. So I just slowly roll this over there. And then I'll just hold it on here a little bit. Now, in my case, I got to kind of wiggle it because if I don't, my iron is going to lift because it's a touch iron. As you know, it says I touch, which means when you let go, it lifts up. And then set that one aside, bring the next one over, and do the same process where I'm going to iron because I'm relaxing the seam. Then I'm going to lift it up and slowly roll my iron. Well, actually, I'm just pushing my iron over a little bit, then letting the weight of my iron on it as I move it just a little bit so it doesn't lift on me. And so they're both going that direction, just like that, and then just stack them up. And that's all I do. So if you're following along, this is where you're at, and you will have all these pieces done. The white is to the left, the blue is to the right. The white is to the right, the blue is to the left. 18 and 18. And you see that picture right there? That's what we're going to create. So you're going to use all these completed rectangles. So let's put it together, shall we? And you're going to end up with 2 rows. I split them up because we're going to make 9 of those go together, 9 on the left, 9 on the right. You're going to make 1 row, and then these 9 are going to make another row, and then we're going to set them aside for the future. We'll end up with 2 rows. And yes, we are going to have to nestle. Although you know that I have went ahead and did all of mine the same directions. So now I'm going to have to try and attempt to iron them the other direction. But that's okay. For the time being, I'm just going to move them with my hand. That's all. Put them up here. Make sure that they come together correctly. They're not overlapping. It's all right. All is well in the sewing world. Here we go. No problem. I'm just going to sit and pin them all. Now these pins, they are glass head, so they do not melt when the iron gets on them. And yes, they have been tested. They do not melt. Okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and pin them all. I'm going to put a little iron to that and see if it works any. All right, so let's do one row together. Doesn't make a difference whether it's row 1 or 2. I'm going to iron this open. Okay, so if you've got all those done, this is what you're going to look like you've got. And we're going to attach all of these. Alrighty, so let's get busy on that. Okay, so we have 4 to connect at this juncture. And 1 left over that doesn't have a partner to it. So we'll do that first. and put them all together now. So now I have 2 to sew and 1 loner. Now we're going to join these 2. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew this one piece on by itself before I do the strip, and then I'll show you the strip all done. And then we'll have, we'll have 1 completed, and we'll just have 1 left to do. And that'll be it for this week. And all my pieces are going in the same direction. Let's iron it. And let's look at it. Alrighty, I laid it here on the table because it's so long. I've got the white up at the top and the blue at the bottom. And I've got it diagonally on my table like that. So there we go. Yep, all the way to the other end. Wow, that's a nice looking trim there. I'm going to guess that's a trim. Probably the top or the side. I mean, I don't know. Well, let's get the other one done and then we'll be finished.